Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is actually Saturday, April 22nd, but it's Friday, April 21st, 2015. So we're a little late on the video here, but I pulled a double at work. So 24 and a half hours of, gee golly willikers excitement later, and a good solid nap. We're going to go ahead and cut this video, and then it'll be time for bed because I have to get up at 4 in the morning to go back to work again. So it's been a relatively slow week this week. Japan's still sort of trying to come to grips with its vacation week and trying to get back to work. I don't know how much stock to put into the fact that the port explosion over in China has anything to do with any of the delays that have been popping up towards the end of this week. I do know that the Volkswagen Polo World Rally Championship, the car, the bell kits, where I was talking about where the boat is on any given day, should have been in the Mediterranean, actually. Should have went through the Suez Canal last night. I didn't think to check before I looked to see when I was supposed to dock, but whatever. The reason we bring it up is because that is where those bell kits came from. There are two ports of calls in China for the boat. One was in, I believe it's Tianjin, and the other one, I can't remember where it was because I don't have the backwards itinerary of the boat. So it either came out of there or the other Japanese port, and so we're seeing some stuff being delayed just initially to September that should be out this month. So it's hard to tell if that is anything to do with that in itself, because we're seeing the kits of Hasegawa and Fujimi this week. There's some stuff out that we're going to talk about here in a second, that those companies tend to manufacture their stuff in Japan, so they're not dependent on stuff being manufactured in China the way that Bell Kits, BMAX, and some other people are. So it remains to be seen if those delayed dates are anything that actually exists, because the vendors are giving me conflicting things. One says August, one says September. I don't know who to believe. But, be that as it may, so, if it's a slow, week next week, then you know why. So, up front on October kit announcements, Hasegawa has put out that they're going to be doing 4 reissues, basically. And they are going to be reissuing the 67 Toyota 2000 GT. Now, that's a standard catalog kit. It's more of a restock than anything. There's a couple places that still have it in stock. So this is just, giving you more stock. It has been on like a permanent back order to Hobby Link Japan for several months now. So for anybody who happened to have one, in limbo, you're going to get a restock next month, or I should say in 2 months technically, since we're still in August here. They're also going to be reissuing the Mazda Cosmos Sport C10B. This is the really UFO-y looking 2-door. I don't know if it would be the forerunner to the RX-3, maybe. I don't know. It's a 1960s sort of sports car thing. This again is just a restock. It's a catalog kit, but something else has been on a permanent back order for quite a while at Hobby Link Japan. They're also going to be reissuing the Lamborghini Miura P400 Super Veloce. You may recall if we watched, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months ago's thing where I show off what kits I've gotten. I call it the crate, the shipping crate, or what have I wasted my money on this month. I got one of those, and that was literally one of the last ones that came into Hobby Link Japan prior to the kit being discontinued. So this kit's actually been unobtainable, quote unquote, through your standard retailers now for probably about 90 days, maybe closer to 4 months, but it's going to be coming back in stock. And then the other one that's sort of a little more interesting is they're going to be doing the Team Schnitzer BMW 318i. This is another one of the Japanese Touring Car Championship things. You may recall from our conversations in the past that next month they're going to be reissuing the what do they call it? The Autotech BMW 318i. There's also a Hasegawa Japanese Touring Car Championship. These are the really seriously unobtainium BMW racing kits because they haven't been produced since the mid 1990s, and they go for a small fortune on eBay. So they're going to be reissuing another one of those. Apparently they got enough pre-orders for the kit that's coming out in September to go ahead and release the next one. There were a total of 3 of them, so it'll be interesting to see if they reissue all 3 or if they're just going to sort of peter out where they're at right there. That's pretty much it for solid October kit announcements for right now. Obviously, the October stuff really won't start flowing until the middle of the second week of September. The other thing we have a little heads up on is that Mobius is saying, and all things being equal, what they are, that the 62 Pontiac, I believe it's going to be a Ventura, I think, first. There's going to be two of those, so I'm not sure which one technically is the first one up. But they're saying that the tooling is done, plastic is ready to go ahead and be shot, so to speak. They've got the packaging stuff going over to China as far as what goes with what and the instructions and the box art and all that stuff, and they're hoping to have it out by Halloween. Maybe more like Thanksgiving, because if you guys have learned nothing in the last year, it's the fact that release dates are very fluid. It all depends on what's going on where at what time and who didn't wake up early enough for work and stuff like that. So it's a soft target, but at least for those people who are waiting on that 62 Pontiac, there's your tip off of when you should really start looking for it, and that'll be the end of October. So what we've got to actually talk about kit-wise here is there's one actual sincere new tool that came out. A little bit of surprise, actually, because it's based on another tooling that hasn't come out yet. And then we got a couple of reissues from Fujimi. So the brand new tool is going to be this. This is the Ebro Citroen 2CV pickup truck. Now, you may be saying, well, you didn't mention the Royal Marine Service part. Yes, this is a co-op with Asuka, the old Tasca, and they're doing this as a military kit because that's what Asuka does for the most part. Anybody who knows the old Tasca knows that's all tanks and boats and stuff like that. They're the 1/124 scale BMW motorcycle World War II kit. And then, of course, since becoming Asuka, they did the American Bantam, the 1/24 scale, very, very early pre-Willys Jeep. What this is, like I said, is a brand new tool from Ebro of the 2CV Citroen pickup truck. This is a new tool completely. It does not actually share any of the parts with the Tamiya 2CV that we saw when Ebro did their Citroen Fogana. So, brand spanking new tooling. Now, what the difference is between the Ebro kit that still isn't out yet and this one that has the co-marketing with Asuka is that, A, it's about $15 cheaper, give or take. And the reason for that is because that the thing has no engine. The actual Ebro kit, the one that should come out this month, it may come out by the end of the month or not, it'll slide off into September someplace, is that one is a full detail kit. It has a complete engine, transmission, transaxle, the whole 9 yards, where this one doesn't. So they pulled that content out to sort of bring the price down a little bit, and Asuka has themselves put in a set of jerry cans and a weird, I don't know what it's made out of exactly, little tarpaulin that goes over the bed of the truck. It is sort of pre-printed, distressed canvas. I don't know if it's actually made out of canvas, if it's made out of plastic, if it's made out of paper, what it's made out of, because I don't have one and I'm not going to buy one just to find out. But it's a neat little touch. You're not trying to paint something. Of course, then some people will be unhappy with the way that comes out, but you can always, I suppose, weather it if it's a durable material. But obviously this tooling is going to be, significantly based on the Tamiya tooling. They didn't, Tamiya obviously did not sell Ebro the 2CV tooling, so it's not that kind of thing. I don't even have a Tamiya 2CV. I've had one of those on back order since like before Christmas of last year. That kit has not been reissued like I thought it would be. So I can't compare the actual instructions for this new pickup truck and the instructions for an actual 2CV. I do have the Forgan, come think of it. I guess I could have done that. But so I don't know exactly how they are the same or different. Obviously, it's going to be one of those things where it's significantly based in because at this point, Heller's got their 2CV tooling, Revell's got theirs, and then Tamiya had theirs. So there's plenty of things to base your design off of as far as engineering and stuff like that. So it's a neat little conversation piece. If you're into the military side of things, it's certainly a very interesting conversation piece. Now, granted, there aren't that many 1/24 scale military kits. You have the stuff that ICM has scaled up from 1/35 scale. You have the few things that Tasca and Asuka put out, and there's some really old and really probably unobtainium 1/24 scale Tamiya tanks that are more motorized toys than they are model kits, but obviously 1/35 scale is your standard military scale as far as how would they put that, ground vehicles. So be that as it may, it's an interesting little variation there. And so I guess we have a Hasegawa reissue and 2 Fujimi reissues. So as we plow through those real quick, this is the well, you can read this. This is the Egg Girl Summer Paint 2015 Volkswagen Type 2 delivery van. This is your standard straight-up Hasegawa 1967 Volkswagen T1 Type 2 delivery van. It's a panel van. It's much like the Revell of Germany. We call it the Jägerbomb, the Kubelwagen or whatever they did that, but it has the Jägermeister graphics on it. These are not the same kits, though. Keep that in mind. The Revell of Germany panel wagon, their cargo van, so to speak, is a full detail kit based off the 2010 Samba bus tooling. These Hasegawa kits are curbside. They build up to be fine kits, but if you're really looking one way or the other, the Revell of Germany kit is probably comparable in pricing. This is going to run you a little bit more than the actual Type 2 delivery van runs from Hasegawa because it's got this graphics scheme here. I should have wrote down who did it. It's a Japanese guy, obviously. This is a limited edition kit, so once it sells out, it's gone. You know, it is what it is. The kit is molded in sort of a metallic blue, so you would have to mask off the white to actually paint this thing the way the box art shows. It does come with a giant set of decals for the summer egg girls there. Of a little interesting note, the girl back there by the tail end there is Japanese, but the other two are American. There's like Claire somebody and Amy somebody, and then the girl back there in the white has actual Japanese name. So the egg girls are not all Japanese, surprisingly enough. And then we have 2 reissues from Fujimi. These are just basically restocking some kits that have been out of production for a little bit. There's this obviously the Enzo Ferrari, the Ferrari Enzo. This, do notice, is 114 parts, but this is not a full detail kit like the Revell of Germany or like the Tamiya. It has a engine block. If you're familiar with Fujimi's, the way they tool their engines, it has an engine block that is molded to the back ass end of the passenger compartment, and then the big air intake that sits on top is a separate piece. I also believe that the valve covers are separate pieces. But beyond that, this is just a curbside. Now, you could argue the fact that you can't see any of the engine detail in an Enzo anyway, which is, true. This is a one-piece body. Nothing opens on it the way the Tamiya one does. Is arguably a more proportionally accurate Enzo than the Revell of Germany, Revell USA Reeboks one is. And the only thing this really has going for it, because at this point, who wants a Ferrari Enzo? I mean, I realize there's constantly always people coming into the hobby, and there's people that would have missed out on the Revell of Germany Enzo or the Revell USA box. Those kits are discontinued. I mean, you can find them at shows for like next to nothing, because the Enzo is one of those Ferraris where you have to like it, or if you don't, it's ugly. But this kit is running like $12. So if you want to get into an Enzo that's pretty well detailed, fairly well proportioned, this is obviously probably the cheapest solution, as the Tamiya one runs like $35 to $50, depending on whether you get just the base Enzo or one of the Enzos that has the full detail upset. The other reissued quote-unquote Ferrari, because I know for the Ferrari purists, the Dinos are not Ferraris. Ferrari themselves has finally sort of accepted the fact that these are Ferraris, but, traditionally speaking, they are not Ferraris. But this is the Dino 246 GT. 109 parts in this one. This, guys, is a straight-up curbside. This is not, by any stretch of the imagination, of reality or otherwise, the Enthusiast Series kit. This is a curbside. It has no engine. It does have like the bottom of the engine engraved into the bottom of the chassis pan, and that is it. I believe there's a separate set of like exhaust tips, but beyond that, that's it. Most of the 109 parts in this are the fact that when they turned this into a curbside cheap model, they didn't really decontent the interior. So the interior is still like 30-some pieces the way the Enthusiast was, but there's no engine, there's no transmission, there's no all of the parts. It's a curbside, so it has been greatly decontented. I think that the Dino 246 Enthusiast series is still available, or at least it's not that hard to find. So this is, again, this is the bargain bin basement. If you want a Dino and you don't want a 250 some odd part kit, again, $12. So it's, if you're more interested in a shelf model and not the Enthusiast series building experience, because some of those kits can be a little fiddly, this is obviously a much better solution for you. And guys, that's pretty much it. The 29 Ford Hot Rod. Ooh, almost forgot. The Revell 29 Ford Hot Rod is out in limited quantities at certain preferred retailers. Some of the people who've gotten them online have started getting them shipping notices on them as well. So that kit will be out this month after all. I didn't even bother to check on any of the other domestic stuff. It's been a long day, and I know most of it, I have not seen anybody saying that they have gotten any kind of notifications on shipping. And usually with the associated group of friends and forums that I've usually you would see people going, I got my whatever, and then I can go double check and make sure that they aren't getting a test shot, or if they're not getting some sort of supplier kickback. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but there's a lot of guys who do box art builds, they do test shot builds and stuff like that, and so they get advanced copies of the fully packaged kits, but the actual kit itself's not out. But I do know that at this point, at least a dozen people who have picked up 29 Fords or have them on the way, so that kit is out. Whether or not you can have one depends on whether or not you have a preferred provider hobby shop, or if you pre-ordered one, back when it was announced. So that, guys, is that. We'll hang out, I guess, for a couple hours before we go back to sleep, go back to work. And what I'm trying to say is next week should be interesting, because there's a lot of stuff on this list that doesn't have any check marks at this point. I expect that we'll get the rest of the Fujimi stuff in this week, because they seem to be on point with that. As far as what's going to come out of Aoshima, we'll see. They've got a big, long list of stuff they promised, and so far, one of them came in, and that was last month. So, anyway, guys, we'll see you on the other side.